Hello everybody, this is Alex from Hardcorian Guides, bringing my S-Rank guide for Metal Gear Rising Revengeance on Revengeance difficulty. Today we're doing file R-01 entitled Coup d'etat. This chapter includes 2 boss fights with Blade Wolf and then Mistral, and it has 1 secret fight and then 1 optional fight. By optional, I mean Boris says it's optional, but in terms of S-Rank, it is not optional. We have to finish it in order to get the S-Rank. So, very beginning first fight is definitely different than any other difficulty because it adds a Mastiff to the fight. Mastiff being the big gorilla guys. And basically you just, at least it's just 1, which is much better than having like 3 or 4 of them at one time. So, thing is, Mastiff will start running in really fast, and this is what makes it kind of hard to do Zandatsus against these guys, because when you got a Mastiff around, you never really know if they're going to go for an attack, which I got really lucky with, by the way. Luckily, he went for an attack rather than going straight for, like, a grab. And that's the thing that kind of gets you messed up, too, because even though you have iframes after doing a Zandatsu, there's still the issue that is, especially if the Mastiff is doing his charge, grab attack, where he charges toward you, he can wait out that entire time, and by the time you get done, you know, breaking spines, I guess, then, well, he'll basically grab you, do some damage, you'll have to restart, that whole thing. Now, technically, what you could do there, if you have EM grenades, you could just go ahead and throw them down and just take them out. But I'm trying not to use items too often. There will be chapters that I will say that I would highly recommend using items for, but typically I'm trying to not use items too often, so that way, if somebody was playing through the level and they didn't have the items that I have, I don't want to make it like completely unfair. Now, granted, you can go back to other chapters and get the items and just, you know, grab them that way, which as soon as you get a checkpoint in those, like say for this grenade right here, if I get a checkpoint soon, that grenade should save over, and then you just go back and just reset your checkpoint system by replaying the chapter. So it is, you could get them, but yeah, anyway, so yeah, you could use EM grenade if you want to just do that, RP grenade, if you just want to kind of make everybody, you know, not see you, which are really good. I've learned recently in this recent playthrough that, yeah, RP grenades are excellent. I never really used them back then, but they are insanely good in a lot of cases. So this part, the stealth section here, is not too difficult. You basically just run across that broken bridge, stealth kill that guy, wait across the other bridge for the guy to turn around, kill him, and then kill these 2. You do a stealth kill on one, and then you do, you know, blade mode on the other one. So yeah, this part right here, it's a little bit tricky, and I'll explain it as best as I can. So pretty much, you're gonna have 2 cyborgs and 1 gecko, and then the idea that I'm trying to go for is, instead of doing a parry, which you could do, but the idea I'm trying to go for is I'm trying to get the gecko to do that charge, because I mentioned it slightly before in R-00, but I don't think maybe I didn't, I don't know, either way. So the charge attack is what you kind of want to wait for geckos to do, because then you could just easily block it, and even with like a low, well, not really low frequency, but just with the regular blade fully upgraded, the first blade fully upgraded, you can block that attack and then thus get the good amount of damage on him and pretty much get like a free kill. All you gotta do is just run away, let him come toward you, he'll charge attack, and there you go. And these guys switch to the pincer, jump in the air, press the heavy button, and then wait for you to start coming down, go into rip mode, annihilate them. Now technically you probably don't have to go into rip mode for it to still, I mean, I think you can still not do that, but I think it doesn't kill him. I think it just knocks him down, but at least probably breaks a few limbs, so you can just use that to your advantage. Also, you can use regular grenades to kind of just spam on them to keep them on the ground if you wanted to, but that's just what I do. I just use pincers for that. And then for this, it's pretty much just, again, stealth. I'm just going to fast forward through the stuff. You guys can, you know, check it out at your leisure if you really need help that bad. Even though I got caught, it's fine. The thing is, if you do happen to get caught, especially by not just the geckos necessarily, but by the guys with the rockets, there's a spot where, to that bridge, when I was running across that bridge, there's a spot to the left. If you jump over there, there's like a little wall area you can kind of hide behind, and you keep you away from the armor guys for a little while. But yeah, I didn't mention it much, but in the first chapter, but yeah, the reason why I didn't talk about the charge attack from the gecko in the first chapter is because it doesn't really work, just to get that full kill. So this is Blade Wolf's fight, and what I'm pretty much just waiting for is I'm waiting for a really good time to parry. And parry works in a way where if you parry an enemy's attack in whatever difficulty mode, it will do pretty much the same amount of damage that they were going to do to you. technically speaking. As far as I'm aware, that should be the case. And because we're on the highest difficulty, and because Blade Wolf, went for a pretty strong attack, I, of course, did a ton more damage back to him. Which I'm pretty sure by this time, people watching this guide probably most likely know about Revengeance mode having strong stuff. But I know I'm doing that thing again where I'm explaining things that everybody pretty much knows, but I just like to talk, okay? Just, let me have that, alright? So, pretty much, you could skip the entire second phase, not really second phase, but you can skip the entire third and fourth phase. Third being, of course, the Gecko phase. And pretty much all you gotta do is just completely just annihilate Blade Wolf. Let him do, like, his charge attack. Just stand there. And he'll pretty much just run around. And it's still random, but for the most part, if you're kind of far away enough from him, he'll do, like, pretty much his sprinting heavy. That's what it is in terms of the DLC. So he's pretty easy. You don't have to take down the Gecko if you don't want to. You should already have enough. I got 3 Zandatsus, which I think was what probably might have gotten me the S rank fully. But I'm not going to, count my chickens before they hatch and just say, like, that's definitely the case. As far as I'm aware, the no damage should just be enough. But then again, for some boss fights, sometimes it's not enough. It just really depends on the boss fight, of course. But I don't know, like, the full ins and outs. I just know what I did, and that's what my guides are usually for, is I know what I did, I know what I'm doing. I may not know everything about every situation, but at the very least, I know enough to get most people probably through. Ish. Also, I forgot to mention, but the Sais could be used for, like, the very beginning fight of this chapter, if you want to use the Sai and the Mastiff. But then again, you have to deal with, like, the guys, running up on you, going for the charge. You could go into Blade mode and take them out that way, instead of doing the parry. But of course you still risk getting hit. So it's just one of those things, like, just go for a parry, and if you have the grenades, yeah, go for them if you want to. But I'm trying not to use them as much, so that way I don't have to assess every situation and be like, yeah, here's me using an EM grenade, here's me using an RP grenade, here's me doing this in this fight. So, yeah, just, spice it up for your own playthroughs. That's not me being sarcastic or mean. I'm just saying, like, for your guys' own situations, of course, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? But for this, I already did it. I'm not gonna want to go back. I don't want to make, like, 10 different ways to fight in one particular fight. Also, I do want to give a shout out to a couple of people that are really good guide people. Some of which I used to, I'm just gonna say it, yeah. So I used to watch Big Benedict a long time ago. He used to do a lot of... Ooh, I didn't mean to get that in. He used to do a lot of... he usually, does a lot of guides, but then eventually deletes them too, which sucks. But I used to love his Metal Gear Rising videos, and he was quite helpful back then when I was doing my original S-rank playthrough. And my original, I mean my own playthrough, not recorded. And then for this playthrough, because I didn't know where all the secret fights were, I used a guy named Miduki, M-I-D-U-K-I, and he's got some really good content. There's also MGR tips for boss fights if you want to know how to get, like, S rank for those boss fights, because sometimes boss fights require more than just no damage, and that's what I kind of used for a small bit of help. I'm surprised I didn't get a hit there, but just to kind of explain this situation, pretty much just, I just used RP grenade to get that smoke grenade. The only reason why I did it in the first place was just to give me a few extra seconds from not getting spotted, so that way I can take out these guys and get some Zandatsus and what have you. And just save the civilian, because why not? Now, technically, I don't have every civilian saved on this account because I'm playing on the PC version. I did platinum on the PS3 one, but I finally bought this recently because I have, like, a new computer. I've had it for like a year or two, I think now, and I can finally play games of higher quality. And trust me, man, the PC version of MGR is, like, insanely good. It's so hard to go back to the PS3 one because, man, I'm not big on, like, frame rate stuff too much, but, like, when you notice it, it's like, damn. So for this part, these first 3 guys, you don't have to stealth them, but I recommend just trying to do stealth within reason. Basically, the reason why is because if you get caught, they'll pretty much start shooting at you, and that's something you don't want to have happen. Yes, Ninja Dash will deflect the bullets, but sometimes they fire on too long, and, well, I don't like, running around waiting for them to stop necessarily. So, you don't have to get the data arm, because there's another way to get through that access, but I just get it just to save myself the trouble. And then after you do that, this is where the Miduki guy came in handy, because I totally forgot about this fight. But there is a fight back here after you get the data arm. And there's one cyborg and I think 2 to 3 bats. I'll call them bats. I know they have a name, I just forget what they're called. I think Flyer, maybe. But yeah, so when it comes to Zandatsus on, you know, the Flyer bat guys, I usually don't do it very often because you only get one shot at it. If you destroy him without getting the Zandatsu, then it's pretty much just over. But basically for that, you just want to have everything unequipped. You want to have your heavy attack unequipped. So that way you can use the, I forget what it's called. It's not called Sky Striker, I don't think. But you pretty much have like a forward triangle or forward heavy, forward Y, which I'm playing on PC as BY. You have a forward Y in air. And with that, you just target, like, you know, whoever's in front of you. And then you just go into Zandatsu immediately. And there you go. So for this part, you can use the pincer blades behind the truck to do a decent bit of damage. But the reason why I don't do that is because I'm afraid, you know, these guys coming back around and just kind of fudging everything up. Because they're kind of weird with how they just get around the truck. It's really obnoxious. So what I do instead is I just target the armored guy. I jump in the air for a pincer, you know, heavy. Which, of course, it has to be heavy because you can only use triangle for that anyway. And then I just kind of go into blade mode and do what I do normally. So you have a different variant of cyborg here real quick. The non-machete ones. These are going to be the samurai sword ones. I usually do about 2 to 3 hits for an attack. They're still just regular cyborgs, so blade mode works fine enough to completely annihilate them regardless. You don't need to worry about doing parries on them if you don't want to, of course, but yeah, they're just regular cyborgs. Nothing too dangerous. Nothing really too bad. It's mainly that first guy that appears out of the house. He starts running to the left, and he targets you pretty fast too. But you can use RP grenade if you want to like get in there with stealth, or you can do what I did with the pincers, or just EM grenades, or whatever. So the items are on you on that point. Also note that whenever I go for Zandatsu, typically if I'm in a group of enemies, you don't have to go for like the first guy, but I typically just, I don't know, I grab it for points. But usually I try to get Ripper mode. That's what I'm always trying to keep myself consistently within, right? And now real quick, for this fight particularly, again, I want to give shout outs to that Baduki guy as well, because I didn't know about, I totally forgot about this even being a thing. But I found out the hard way because when I did this stealthily the first time, I didn't get S rank, and I thought that was fucking weird. And then that's when I found the guy's videos, and I found out that, yeah, the only way to get S rank for this fight is you have to get caught in here. That guy on that roof that I killed, I don't think he has to catch you. You have to get caught by, like, at least the Gecko or this guy, this first cyborg guy. And then after that, you'll have a grid, I think, or grad, I think they're called, spawn in. Now, I would recommend using size into the grad, going for the, you know, the aerial 5 hits, which usually just deletes them pretty damn fast. I'd recommend going for him first, because he's going to be pretty dangerous. But of course, you know, if there's somebody else that's in your way, that's in your face, well, you know, take out them accordingly, of course. But the grad is something you want to take out definitely pretty fast, because, you know, you don't want to get hit by rockets or whatever. So these guys here, I believe they're pretty much optional, but I'm using them just as a way to get Ripper mode back anyway, because if I don't remember if using items in terms of like recovery items for electric recovery, like fuel recovery, I don't know if that counts against you for your S rank or not, so I just don't use them. But here's the optional fight, quote unquote, and what you want to do is you want to wait for the helicopter to spawn in fully, because if you go for a Psy attack while he just first shows up, it's just going to miss. It's not going to go through. And then after you use a Psy, you wanted to activate Ripper mode while you're going up toward the helicopter. And then upon that, you know, just slice once, twice, go into blade mode if you want, or whatever. And there you go. So they're pretty damn easy. It's a matter of just like picking one, going for a Psy, going to Ripper mode, and just after that immediately start dashing when you land on the ground. So that way you can avoid any potential like machine gun shots. Missiles are dangerous too, but they usually don't do them until like they're about low on health. Well, I mean, they'll probably... Actually, no, they do them quite often. It's just when they get lower on health, that's when they'll let you do a quick time event dash thing. That's what it is. So for this one's also a bit more annoying of a fight too, because you can easily mess up the S rank here because of these little twerps. These, well, not just the tripods grabbing onto you and stuff. Well, if they grab onto you, they're not going to hurt you. They do have an attack that does actually do damage, but they typically don't do it if you're running around and just slashing them. They usually have a harder time doing it. They usually try to go for grabs. Now, what makes this fight a little obnoxious sometimes is the cyborgs when they spawn in. Because once you take out the first wave of tripods, the next two, cyborgs will spawn in, and after that, you know, they'll just be in the way. You just gotta kill them. You know, just focus on them, pretty much. They're taking their focus off you. Also, it's kind of late now, but I should probably explain it. That one fight before, no, after the stealth mission, but before, like, the double gecko stealth, there's that fight with the 2 cyborgs and the gecko, the one where I did, like, the charge attack on, or let him charge into me. For that fight, I want to give, like, a small tip, or a small piece of advice. If you kill the 2 cyborg guys first, they will spawn in the armor guys. So you can always keep one alive. And it won't spawn in the armor guys until after you've killed at least those 2 main cyborgs. So just bear that in mind. I forgot to mention that. It's way too late now, but there it is. Also, when you go up these stairs, I did have to restart checkpoint, and it didn't lead me to here. So that's what's going on. I give up stealth entirely. I just don't care. I mean, granted, this part should not count toward S rank. But I'm still trying to, like, at the very least, get no damage on every single fight, just in the off chance that something might go wrong. Because I don't trust MGR as much as I probably should. So, yeah. I got really lucky right there, which is why I kind of ran back here anyway, so I can try to avoid the turret shots, so I can hide behind the wall. But I got really lucky that he was pretty much just not really aiming at, but he was... His shots were hitting the enemy instead of me, so that helped out wonders. Alright, now it's time for Mistral. So Mistral is interesting in where she has like a 3-phase type thing going on. It's a little irritating sometimes, but if you get a parry on her, if you parry her with her spear up, yeah, I reset so I can get rip mode. That's what's going on. If you see me reset, sometimes I forget to, you know, edit out. That's just an editing mistake, but typically, yeah, I just reset checkpoint so I can get rip mode full, and then I just run in and just do sprinting slash so I can break her her spear in like 1 to 2 hits. So yeah. Anyway, if you happen to parry her while she's got her spear up, you'll go into blade mode, and you can destroy like a part of her spear. And I think right here I was trying to like wait for her to do like a parry attack, and I just couldn't get it to come out. But I do get a parry eventually, trust me. But you'll see what happens. It's quite interesting. So when she goes up there, and you got no rip mode, then basically what you want to do is you just kind of want to wait for the little tripods to spawn, so you can just kind of break them while she's away, and then just get that rip mode. It'll happen again in R-04. It'll happen there as well. So I didn't get the parry here, but I got the parry on the 2nd phase. And the parry, of course, is when she picks up a tripod, tries to throw it at you, and you just parry it and do a lot of damage. And also, to get her to 2nd phase, I think it's like 75% or under for her health. I think that's when she activates phase 2, so there's that. I did reset checkpoint. I go straight into rip mode, go into the slash, and I just kind of hit her a few times and let her, you know, run away. And then after that, I just wait for her to pick up a tripod, go for a nice good parry, and knock her health clean down. She only needs to go into, I think, 10% in her 3rd phase for her to basically just be ready to get killed. And that's a lot of damage, too. Like, that's a extreme amounts of damage. And, you know, I'm not doing much right now, but I'm doing like a few pop shots. And this is where everything kind of goes to waste. So instead of doing the smart thing of just trying to run up and hit her, I have that brain bug of like, well, I need Ripper mode so I can break her block so I can hit her. Well, that's the problem. How do I get Ripper mode? Well, I do it what I normally do. I go immediately into just checkpoint. Well, yeah, I try to beat up on her a bit. Go into checkpoint, and that was a bad idea, because guess what happened? Yeah, her health returned, so you get to see that little fun thing. So don't do what I did. Size also work against her pretty well, too. Pincer works pretty nice as well, but for me, I mainly just stick with like doing running slashes and a few just heavy attacks, that sort of thing. Nothing really too special. But Mistral can be kind of a fun fight when you have upgrades. When you're doing like a no upgrade run, like that one kind of stings. That's where I'm at right now in terms of no upgrades. And by no upgrades, I mean like literally like no health upgrades, no fuel cells, just straight up, you know, basic blade, everything. And she's a pain in the ass, but granted, I don't have Ripper mode, so that would probably be why I haven't gotten that far. I'm playing a Revengeance like straight up, and that's probably not the smartest way of doing it. Also, I think it's called Sky High is the forward light one. It's that tech right there, that forward light. That's a pretty good move against her shield. And you'll notice like it works pretty well when she kind of like backs up a little bit when she's getting hit, instead of like doing like a retaliation tag. That usually is a pretty good sign, like, okay, she's about to break. But yeah, just don't do what I did. Don't be silly. And whenever she gets her spear back, just, you know, go into rip mode, go into slashes, and then just break it, and there you go. That's what I do, at least for her. Monsoon's gonna be a pain in the ass, so I can tell you that. Monsoon would be much worse. Man, I hate fighting Monsoon so much. But anyway, the rest from here is relatively pretty much straightforward and simple. You just cut her down however you feel. And I think I actually missed like parts of her leg, so she is still like slightly standing. It's pretty cool, actually. But I did that just for the hell of it. Also, try to get kills, because you saw that I got 26 kills. I get an extra 2,000. And time bonus is also a big thing too. But kills also work wonders for these boss fights. If you're able to get, especially Mistral's fights, if you're able to get the little tripods to spawn in, you know, that's usually a good way to... Well, of course they're going to spawn in. That's just what they do. But yeah, if you get them to come in, then it helps tremendously. So anyway, that will be the end of this episode, and I'll see you all next time. And as always, take care, everybody.